the glory,
but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. You know?
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 286 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and no Maxi, nobody, no co-host. This is a solo podcast. We have a guest. It was a great chat with him. Thank you, Tom Rinderknecht, for coming on and having a good chat after his big win at the INS this past weekend. Great chat. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. But before we get into that, I have to say some thank yous to everybody out there, especially the NNRC squad around the world. It truly amazes me how many people listen to the podcast around the world. We're honestly very honored to have you guys supporting us, and we greatly appreciate that. I know some of our podcasts are long. Some of them you like them long. So, but we greatly appreciate it. We do apologize we couldn't get to all of your questions last week. There were so many. We're going to try and split that up as much as possible. Some of them are repeat questions, but we do appreciate you guys sending in questions. So shout out to you guys, the NNRC squad. None of this is possible without you guys. Shameless plug. If you want to get some NNRC gear, we have shirts with these hats, nice fitted flex fit hats in small and medium and large and XL. Hit me up, send me a message, and we'll get some of that shipped out to you if you want to purchase any. Also, a big shout out to the patrons of the NNRC as well as the YouTube members. You guys go the extra mile, supporting the podcast financially a little bit every month. We greatly appreciate you guys' support. You get such benefits as early access to podcasts. And I'm trying to be more active in the Patreon, putting links in there so you guys don't have to search through Facebook. You just go in there and see stuff. Anything I find interesting, I'm posting up in there as well. So thank you guys. If you wish to join the NNRC Patreon or YouTube members, links for that in the written description of this podcast. Also, a big shout out to these companies that sponsor the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Remember, showing the sponsors some love shows the podcast some love. They are Invisible Speed, who's about to have some live meetings when this is going on this Wednesday for members. Remember, they have a 3-month course. We have an affiliate link for that in the written description. High-Tech RC. High-Tech RC is coming on for our content of the worlds. Greatly appreciate that. Corsatec USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Stacked RC, Racecraft USA, Donovan RC, and Elite RC Productions. A big shout out to our drivers, David Runnefolk, Robert Badier, Alexander HagBerg, Matty G, Pekko Ivanen, Una Hutton, and Mason Fuller. As I said, our guest this week is up-and-coming racer Tom Rinderknecht, who works for R1. You've heard us say his name on the podcast quite a lot, or try to say his name. Great young man. I've gotten to know him over the years. He had a very impressive win at INS at Island RC Raceway this past weekend. It was great. I really enjoyed it. So I had him on her, and I was only thinking this is going to be an hour to an hour and a half. We almost went for 2 hours. I think you're going to enjoy it. He has some great insights, very well spoken. And man, if you guys have not checked out the racing, if you're going to listen to this on the audio only side of things, do yourself a favor. Come over, hit that like, sub, and notification button here on the No Name RC podcast YouTube. We put up some video here with some controversy there as well. We go through that with him. But if not, I'll leave links for the coverage done by Mod Live Media in the written description of this podcast. Thank you, Tom, for your time. I greatly appreciate that. It was a great chat with you. But before we get into Tom, I just want to say a quick couple of shout outs. Shout out to all my boys at the Elite RC Productions crew and the Florida RC Championships. Finally, they're going to get the Callahan race in. I was actually supposed to do this race back in March with them, but it got rained out. and they were worried that it was going to get rained out this week, but it's actually going to be very hot there. So I want to wish everybody in the Florida races a good time. It's been a while since they've had a 1/8 scale FRCC. So I hope you guys go. Good luck. I hope to get some good coverage from the racing. I'll leave links for that in the written description of this podcast. We had some good racing this past weekend at the Euro e-buggy warm-ups. A big shout out to Davide Ongaro, who absolutely just dominated those e-buggy Euros at Montpellier. I am actually planning with Ricardo Montero and my good friend Joao Figueiredo. We're going to do a recap. Hopefully I recorded this on a Tuesday. Hopefully we get them in the next day to have a Euros recap. So we will have that. Trying a little bit something different here, one-off interviews with people. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I hope you guys can help us out. Remember, don't forget to support our sponsors. We have links for all of that in the written description of this podcast. And also we have links to all of our partner and affiliate sponsors where you can save some money as well. We greatly appreciate the support. So enough dilly-dallying around. I think it's time that we get into the nitty-gritty with Tom Rinderknecht. It was a great chat with him. And that is brought to you by Invisible Speed.
Stop scrolling, you nerd. Learn something new with Invisible Speed.
Are you the driver of this car?
Yes, sir. Why?
You just won a free alignment.
I had my car touched by JQ, and now I don't feel safe.
I can say that he did improve his time 10 seconds and his best lap.
Last question. Would you recommend the Invisible Speed course?
Yeah, for sure. Spend your money. Good spend.
If you want to learn more and make your speed visible, stop scrolling.
Joining me this weekend is a young man who I met quite a few years ago at the 2021 Raw Fuel Nats at LCRC with his dad. He was running a TLR. We have some mutual friends with Riley, and I know you come from that area up there. Well, raced up in Omaha quite a lot. Friends with Aiden Horn, all those guys, Mason Fullers, all that stuff. One of the young racers in our industry who's also now working in the industry. And I butcher your name like everybody else, but I like to introduce Tom from R1. But let's tell everybody how you say your last name, please.
Rinderknecht.
Rinderknecht.
I know Filbert got you with the Rinderknecht at one race. I forget what it was. That was pretty funny. He had you saying it kind of messed up, but
I messaged Riley yesterday and said, man, Tom killed it at INS. And we geeked out on that. What's up, Riley? But welcome, Tom Rinderknecht. Thank you for coming on. Impressive wins in 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive at the JConcepts INS 14 summer race at Island RC Speedway, I believe it's called. Beautiful carpet track. I'm absolutely in love with carpet. So we're going to touch more on your INS race later on because it was a great race. Aggressive. I loved it. Great win for you too. I think that was a great confidence booster for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a little bit, since I've been able to get some wins. So yeah, it's always good to be competitive at the top and take it home for sure.
Absolutely, and especially, there were some fast dudes there. I think the only top guy that probably wasn't there was Dakota and Tater. But nonetheless, you still beat a lot of fast guys. And congratulations. And we'll put some video up on there. I love the aggression. If JQ was here, he would say that was a perfect example of not being a fanboy and being a champion.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was some great racing with Brock and Davey. Those mains. Yeah, you have to be aggressive. That's the only way to get these guys to crack. So yeah, it was good for sure.
All right. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself. You're 22 years of age. You've been doing this for quite some time. Where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from West Des Moines, Iowa. I live in Ankeny, Iowa now. As some of you guys know, I was out in California there for a while. I was working with R1 out there. I'm still doing that from home, so not quite as in depth. But yeah, no, I'm definitely an Iowa boy at heart, and plan to stay here for sure.
Okay, so how far away was this track from you?
It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes for me. So definitely I've been able to spend a bit of time there, kind of get dialed in on the carpet stuff. In Southern California, there really wasn't really many options to drive on carpet. So now being back here, it's been good to, go there and practice and kind of get ready for some of these events coming up here soon. Obviously the INS that just happened, RC1 as well. It was helpful practicing there as well before that. And then we have Carpet Nationals, the Florida Carpet Champs, and Scotty's race in Cleveland. So still a lot coming up. And yeah, it's going to be a great place for me to test and practice for sure.
Oh yeah, I love carpet. I love it. We're gonna talk more about carpet racing in the future later on this podcast. All right. I always like to ask this because I like to know how people got started in RC. I know your dad raced or used to race. I don't know if he races too much anymore, but how did you get started into this crazy thing called RC racing?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of crazy. My dad has actually never raced before. He didn't race before me. The way that I got into it, my buddy Sully Bowles, he was one of my neighbors, one of my good friends through high school and elementary and stuff like that. He actually had a couple Traxxas wrestlers when we were a lot younger, and that's how I first saw RC. We were kind of bashed around with those things, in the backyard and whatnot. And then there's this local track and shop called Hobby Haven in West Des Moines, Iowa. And, I went there, saw all the cars driving around the track. They had a race going on. And from there, it kind of is just taken off. I mean, I could tell from, the first time I saw those things go around, I'm like, oh, man, I want to race these things. And, obviously I didn't realize, what it could really turn into. But, yeah, it was definitely something I was interested in right away. And, yeah, I've been doing it ever since.
So you got involved like straight into racing. What did you see? What was your first race car?
So I had a Traxxas Slash initially, but I'd say my first actual race car was a SC10. And that thing was, one of my favorite cars. Thing worked awesome. And yeah, from there, there's a local associated regional manager, Mac Vanderbeek nearby. This is probably 3 or 4 years into my racing. He told me that, or, he let me drive his car, and his car was so amazing. I've never driven a car that's, built properly, set up the right way. And he's like, yeah, if you want to, race for the associated team, just let me know and we could get something going. And honestly, which I think is kind of a bit different than now. I mean, I didn't even know you could be sponsored in RC, until it happened, which obviously is a lot different now with all the social media stuff and whatnot. So I definitely, like to point that out to people. Like, I was racing just to win on Wednesday and Saturday nights, like purely, I didn't really realize you could, take it farther in RC at that time. And yeah, I think that was, I wish could have more of that now, but obviously, the sponsorship thing is, quite a bit different than it was then, for sure.
Absolutely. How old were you when you first discovered this?
Man, probably 12 years old, 11, something like that. So yeah, it's been 11 plus years, doing that stuff. So that's a good bit of time to be racing. So I assume you took on the associated role. How long did you stay driving team associated cars? I believe that was until 2018 or 2019. And then I ended up doing the TLR thing with Kevin Gahan. And, that was, really good. I always enjoyed, being on the TLR team, especially at that time with Kevin and them. Obviously, it didn't quite work out, which was kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, now we're running the X-ray stuff. Obviously, at least this year, it's been, probably my best year I've ever had. The car's been working awesome. It's easy to work with those guys. They've been helping us make improvements on the cars, a bit of pointers here and there. And yeah, it's clearly been working. Chase Lemieux has been a great help. Paul Ciccarillo, Ethan Mechanic, Greg Tenney's, all these guys. We've all been able to work together with different setups. I've been driving a bit more on carpet. Chase has been doing a bit more dirt. Paul and Ethan are doing the 8-scale stuff. So, we're kind of able to all help each other with what, we like to do and what we're available to do. So yeah, the X-ray team's been amazing, and that's been a huge thing in my success recently for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Big team over in Europe. Somewhat of a big team there in the USA, North America. And pushing once again, X-ray is. I guess I want to digress back to your past. When was that kind of race where you got noticed enough to start? I know you talked about Team Associated, but then you went to TLR. But what was your breakout race? Can you pinpoint that?
So I would say 2018 Roar Nationals. I made the A main in two-wheel drive mod, and I believe that was Brock, Champlin, and Aiden Horn's first A main as well. So we kind of, all snuck it in there. I think Aiden did the best out of all of us. I think me and Brock finished towards the back. I think Aiden got like 5th or 6th place, or maybe 4th. I can't remember. But yeah, that was kind of, I'd say, a standout race for really all 3 of us at the time. And yeah, I mean, there's been a few INSA mains before that, but, being in the Roar A main for sure is, I would say, the standouts where I was like, okay, maybe we can do this for sure.
Do you remember where that race was?
It was at Hobby Action, actually.
Okay, so it was dirt. All right, cool. No problem. No worries. Big track. Awesome. That's probably also when that Mayfield had just won his Worlds in 2017. Still running competitively, 10 scale. 10 scale still had a lot of the Tebow. Maybe it was Tebow running. Maybe he wasn't running.
He was racing. I think that was the last nationals he did. But I remember him being at that event because I actually winged him in one of the qualifiers. I felt really bad. And I ruined myself too. So
yeah, so you kind of got in. You got to be in a part of RC when Mayfield, Cavallari, Tebow were still on top of their game to an extent. I know Mayfield doesn't race much at all. Tebow doesn't race, and Tessman, because Tessman was very fast back then too. Still could be fast if he was racing. But you got to experience those legends at a high level of racing, like on Raw Nationals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there was a point there where, around here we didn't have, a local track. And I was actually driving, we were going to Fastlane, Tebow's home track. This is probably, from 2016 to 2018 or 19. I was going there and driving, and, I got to see Tebow drive and race. And, I knew what it took to, win these races. That was when he was absolutely on it. I'd go there, and I remember marshaling at one of the club races there, and he was hitting this triple literally this close next to the pipe, barely clearing the jump every single lap. And I was like, hope there's levels to this for sure. And yeah, I definitely think it was good to be able to do some racing with him. And then obviously the Fullers as well. Me and Mason, there's videos of us racing novice together, long time ago. And, I think progressing with him, also, Alex Vanderbeek was very fast around here as well. Us 3 were kind of coming up, pushing each other, and then we had Mac, who is the regional manager I was talking about on AE. He was one of the fastest guys around here. Alex Sturgeon, as I'm sure you know him, he helps run the Hobbyplex track. Chad Rico Karstens is also another super fast guy around here. So, we always had people to push for. And we really only raced mod. I mean, we raced stock, I think, in probably the last time, like 2014, maybe barely in 2015. But like me, Mason, Alex, I mean, we all ran mod, from that point. So I think that's, helped us a lot. Obviously Mason is one of the best drivers in 8 scale right now. I mean, he's been absolutely killing out there, which is awesome to see. Even Caden's been doing super well. He's been getting faster. So yeah, it's nice to see, some of the Iowa locals, we've been doing well. But yeah, I mean, there's a point there where Mason, Caden, and I, and some of the other guys were probably club racing 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, I mean, we definitely put the time in when we were younger, and yeah, I'm glad it's been paying off for all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love, I'm a big fan of the Fullers. A shout out to them, Team Fuller all the way. Was there anybody in particular, maybe a pro driver, maybe a local driver that you used to look up to, that you used to emulate their style or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to, Mac Vanderbeek on the regional team, we got me on the team, and, and then I started really paying attention to these guys' driving and how they're racing. And, Mac was always quite a smooth driver, which, maybe, we're us younger kids are a bit on the wild side. But, just watching his lines, same with Alex Sturgeon. Alex Sturgeon was one of the, the hardest guys for me to beat for a long time. And yeah, I mean, watching those guys, you definitely were like, okay, well, maybe I need to chill out a little bit. I still think we were throwing, a bit bigger whips, driving a bit harder than them. But for sure, those guys, I mean, that's who we wanted to beat. And yeah, we were always looking forward towards them. So.
I met Alex's son, Emerson, this year at SIC. Nice young man.
Yeah,
very good.
Guy.
Very good driver. Very good driver. And Alex is also an awesome dude. Had him on the podcast. He was doing some commentary at INS with Matt.
Yeah.
So he knows all you guys. Good dude. Good dude. We need people like that keep RC going,
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Racing and stuff.
Yeah.
Not a very high paying job.
Right. For sure.
It's passion.
The Sturgeons are great people. Emerson's been getting really fast. He was close to the A's this weekend in stock, and Alex is out there running the 40 plus, doing well. So yeah, those guys are great people. They keep the Hobbyplex track running, which is also about the same distance for me that the Island track is, about 2 hours 15 minutes. So yeah, I mean that's one of my home tracks too, and yeah, I'm super. It's super thankful.
Fast racers.
Yeah. So it's super thankful for those guys to keep that track going. We go there every time, and the track's very consistent. It's a good place to test. So yeah, they do a great job over there.
Absolutely. Tebow's Kryptonite, I call it. That's his track where he Fuller, Van Dalen. This guy used to give him a hard time when he used to go up there and race there. So good stuff. Your dad. So how did your dad get involved in this?
So initially, I was actually like at the start, I wouldn't say that my dad and mom weren't, not that they weren't supportive of it. I think they just were just like, it's just kind of fun or whatever. My grandma actually was taking me to the track, initially, doing more club races and stuff like that. Obviously, my parents supported me a little bit, of course, because they were giving me the cars and whatnot. But, I think there was a point where it was like, okay, this is, something that he really likes to do. And then, my dad was coming to the track, helping me work on my cars, glue my tires. So yeah, I think, initially, my grandma was taking me to the track a lot, and, she's still very supportive of my racing. I really appreciate her, and not really a lot of people know that. But yeah, she really was the one, taking me to the track a lot initially. And, so yeah, family's been great. They're all supportive of me all the time. So yeah, definitely no issues on that side with, them supporting me.
All right. And your dad kind of got into it later on, I would assume. When did they kind of see, all right, this is what you love, you want to do it, and they kind of accepted it?
Probably, honestly, not too long. Probably a year or two, I would say. But yeah, like I've said, and they're a great support to me. My dad was actually racing. He did a half Ironman on Sunday.
I heard that.
While I was racing the mains. So, we've got our own racing. Racing's definitely, in general, is something that we like to do. And, we just have our different forms of it. And, my dad's doing the half Ironman. I'm like, holy cow, dude, there's absolutely no way. And then, he's watching, the races. He's like, dude, your car is so fast on the straightaway and the corners. There's absolutely no way I'm doing that. So, we kind of have our strong suits, and it's similar in many ways. So it's pretty cool.
Do you have any other siblings?
Yeah, so I have a brother, Ethan. He actually has autism. He lives at a home about 15 minutes from us. He's been doing super well. It's always great to see him. He's nonverbal, but he's been getting a lot better. He's taking care of himself more. So yeah, it's definitely a bit of a different dynamic compared to most brotherly love kind of situations. But yeah, he's a good dude. He's always kind of, he's always smiling. Sometimes he gets a bit upset, of course, but I mean, dude, I'm a talker, and if I wasn't able to talk, about, when I'm happy or when I'm sad, that'd be really tough for me. So yeah, I've been happy. He's been doing super well as of recent, so it's been a really good thing.
Does he watch any of your racing or anything like that?
Yeah, I think he's, he watches a little bit, but I think he's just kind of doing his own thing, and I'll tell him about it. He gives me a little smile or whatever, and so yeah, I mean, he kind of does his own thing, but yeah, I always feel like he's supportive in ways for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm learning a little bit about autism, dealing with JQ, right? Because he's kind of realized that he's on the spectrum and suffer from it as well. At 40, he's trying to fix himself and do things. So it's unique, and it's got me looking at different things and whatnot. It's not easy, man. It's not easy at all. But we'd have to be supportive of our family members and our friends that do suffer from autism. All right. TLR. So you made the switch to TLR. Kevin Gahan, you did start doing some eights. Did you do some 8 scale on the Team Associated, or was that all on a TLR?
I think I did 1 or 2 8 scale races with the original Associated B3 car. I actually did the Horizon Fest event, which happened this past
awesome
weekend.
Event. Awesome.
Yeah,
I want to go so bad.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. We always had fun there. I ran it when I was on Associated and TLR. Unfortunately, because it's pretty close by, unfortunately, it was the same weekend as the INS. Otherwise, I would have considered going. I have my X-ray 8 scales. They're pretty much ready to hit the track at any time. So definitely want to run some 8 scale. I'm going to do the Mugen Challenge this year after Carpet Nationals. So yeah, we'll get a bit of 8 scale in for you.
LCRC, man, love that place. Love awesome. LCRC. Love it.
Great track.
So you seem to really enjoy yourself at TLR. You're doing well. You had some success. I think, like I said, I was just before we came on, I was listening to a Ryan Stiles Harris interview that he did with you when you won up in Omaha. And I think you had just recently switched to R1, moving to California. Maybe not moving to California, but running X-ray. I don't think I'm not too sure if you were sponsored by X-ray, because I know you did some privateer stuff. But tell us a little bit about your time at TLR. It was a little bit of a different TLR back then, too, than it is now.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, a bit different than before. Obviously Kevin was, working with the team initially, which, I always really enjoyed. Going to the Worlds in 2019 was in Slovakia at the X-ray place it was absolutely amazing. I mean, that was one of the best experiences I've ever had racing RC. I was able to share that with Dakota and Savoya. Those guys were really, it was just us 3 on the team at that race. And the X-ray guys were giving us a hard time, copy XB4, the TLR 4-wheel looked a lot like the X-ray car. But yeah, my TLR stuff, it was good, man. That I think the next year after that, I got, made both the Nationals A mains. I was podiuming at, the Surf City. I podiumed a couple times, the 22X4, here and there with the 2-wheel as well. And yeah, I honestly, I have nothing really too bad to say about, when I was on the TLR team, kind of, obviously, we had a bit of an end, of course. And, I think there was a few things that really didn't line up between us for like the upcoming year in 2022. Obviously the same with the Fullers as well. I don't really need to get too deep into that, but
I forgot how stacked the team was with Fullers on there, you on there.
Yeah,
Cav was Cav on there at that point too. He might have been.
Cav was on. Yeah, he was on the team. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I have nothing bad to say about being on the TLR team. Honestly, I think, I was planning on just running that stuff for a long time. I definitely didn't expect to feel the need to leave when I did. But I think, maybe we saw some signs of what, everyone's seeing now a bit earlier. And, I think that ultimately it was the right decision to, move on from them.
Absolutely. What do you think about, so a lot of things going on with TLR right now is people are demanding new cars, both 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive, lack of parts. Did you feel that way as well when you was on the team, that they needed a new car?
No, I mean, not at that time. I mean, I would say I went to every race. A lot of people knock on the TLR cars, but in my opinion, I feel like the setup window on those cars are pretty big. So, it's easy to go track to track, maybe compared to some other vehicles. I feel like now the X-Ray and the AE are a bit more, it's easier. The setup window is a bit bigger, same with the Schumachers as well. But I felt like at the time, especially the four-wheel, you could kind of just show up to the race and just slap the thing down. And it was pretty awesome within one or two changes. So yeah, I didn't really, maybe the two-wheel at that time, we were like getting a bit questionable about it. But obviously, they won the Worlds, just last year. Tater was awesome. Brennan was awesome. Same with Dakota, all those guys were in the A. I think Tollard made the four-wheel A. So, clearly, the cars weren't, too bad at that race. But yeah, I can understand, the thing about not getting the parts and not having availability, because honestly, that was the best thing about, I would say, TLR at that time. It's like, you literally could order something and you get it in 2 days. And, it sounds like that's not really the case anymore. Obviously, you see people online being upset and whatnot. And, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't have any knock on the TLR guys. I think, they're all amazing drivers, good people. And yeah, maybe they could get a new two-wheel now sometimes. I think it kind of shows a bit on carpet here and there. Now the traction is just so high and whatnot. So, but yeah, like I said, nothing bad to say about the TLR guys. They've been, obviously it's been a bit tougher of a situation for all those guys at the moment. But yeah, like I said, when I was on the team, I had no complaints.
You said that the 2019 Worlds and Hootie Arena was one of your best experiences that you ever been a part of. What was it that made it so great? I heard it was an absolutely awesome event, great banquet afterwards and all that stuff. Beautiful facility. Want to get there one day myself.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I got to go there with my parents. Aiden Horn and his family made the trip as well for his first Worlds. We kind of, all the USA guys kind of pitted together. And yeah, honestly, just being at the Worlds race and then, watching Dakota and Bruno battle it out in four-wheel. Yeah, obviously I really wanted Dakota to win, that weekend. But yeah, to watch that there was, it was incredible. I was like, holy cow, like this is like, the Nationals A mains are cool, but I'm like, this is a whole nother
different event.
And yeah, there was lots of cool things going on there. They had like the little bar upstairs, get some food. I was old enough to drink a beer there, so I thought that was pretty cool too. I think it was like 50 cents or something. So, there's definitely many things, about that race that made it super awesome. I'd never been out of country before. Some of the sites nearby were super cool. So yeah, really everything about that event was super awesome.
What did you think about this last Worlds last year at Hobby Action with Ungaro coming over here and like just kicking ass? Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Some of the AE guys told me that he built his car in the four-wheel in the hotel the night before the race or something like that. And he's out there. He was so dialed. And yeah, that was a difficult race. I was right there. I just had a few mistakes in the four-wheel, that kept me out of the final for sure. But yeah, it was a good race. I felt, for me, I don't think that, I think there's definitely some disparity of like, okay, like if you were heat one, the very first practice out there and you're stuck in heat one the whole time. Those guys really had zero chance to do good, which I thought was kind of disappointing. Like, I know Matthew Gonzalez and Alex Vanderbeek, two of my good friends, were in the very, very first heat of four-wheel. And as we know with these tracks on slicks, every single heat is going to get faster. And, I was heat 14. I was in the last heat. So, like, I knew that I had an advantage every single time I hit the track. And, like, those guys would be out there. They look good. And then they seed like 70th place. And, I kind of feel like at that race, I'm not making any excuses. I was in the top heats. I think it was fair for me, but, some of the lower heats got water a bit more than us. And yeah, the track evolution, unfortunately, with slicks, is a lot. And when you don't sauce the tires, that disparity is even more. So yeah, I mean, it was good. I think it was good for like, all of the top guys, but honestly, I didn't really feel like some of the lower guys really even had a chance. Because they're out there they're out there spinning donuts. They do a full water on the track, which, it obviously is not going to be awesome. And then, they go out there and, they could have a perfect run and get like 80th place. Like, I mean, if you put Ungaro or Bruno or any of those guys, like the very best guys, you put them in those heats, they would have not made the final. I don't think it was such an uphill battle.
That's the pain with water, right? That's why I like carpet.
Yeah.
You don't have that.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't have that. Thoughts on the Worlds in Australia outdoor? Probably going to be the last time we see, in my opinion, any type of outdoor. Someone's out there doing a peel out. Probably the last time we're going to see an outdoor world championship, because outdoor 10 scale is pretty much on its death throes, I would say. There are still places that run it, but not, we don't see any really big races competitively on it. We recently saw this in Florida. We went out to Coral Springs and it was a decent medium turnout. Then we went to Beachline and it was packed, right?
Right.
People like carpet, people like indoors. What are your thoughts on Australia? Are you going to Australia next year?
Yeah, no, I plan on being there at the moment. I mean, for me, I started RC racing outdoors. I'm not sure if you've seen any of my like little story posts online, but there's actually that Hobby Haven place I was talking about. They have a little outdoor track about 25 minutes from my place. I've actually been driving my 22 X-Ray out there, just having some fun with, the local guys that I started racing with, people that used to help me when I was way younger, before they thought maybe I could be good or whatever. So yeah, it's very nice to go out there, do some outdoor running. So, and yeah, honestly, I mean, it seems like the X-Ray team is pretty big over there in Australia. Ari Bakla, Jordan, a few other guys, do super well at their tracks. So yeah, I think it should be a good race. I think that, having some outdoor style events is a good thing. And I think, this will be, a bit more of an even playing field. Like I said, I felt like hobby action, not for me. I'm not making excuses for my results, but I feel like for some people, it's basically impossible to do good. So I think, a race like this, hopefully will close that gap for everyone. Sauce really isn't needed, obviously, outdoors, where as a hobby action, it's definitely needed. So yeah, I think it'll be a good event. I'm definitely excited. Would definitely like to get out there. And like I said, I started driving a 2-wheel drive outdoors. Was the first racing I did. So I definitely would like to do that again for sure.
Do you think people are gonna have to go crazy, like to the cars that we have now? Are we gonna see any one-off cars for this type of? A lot of people, we're gonna have to go back to rear motor and all this type of stuff. Or do you think that our dirt cars that we have now are just good enough to go out there and do it now?
No, they'll be faster for sure. I mean, like the current cars. I mean, I was out there at this Hobby Haven track, and some of the guys are running like a B5 rear motor, or like a B4, even a B3. There's a few guys with B3s at this track, and those cars drive good. I've driven a few of those guys' cars. I'm like, okay, like, this is good. And yes, they do have a bit more rear grip, but they do not have any corner speed compared to the current cars. And that the corner speed itself makes up for that initial traction that maybe you have with like a stand-up mid-motor or like a rear motor style car. And I feel like when you get loose with those cars, you have the weight hanging off the back. I feel like there's more of a pendulum effect. So yes, you do have more grip, but if you go beyond the limit, it's way harder to bring it back. Whereas I feel like, the lay down cars, obviously the weight's more centralized. So if you do slide, there's less of a force pushing the rear tires around. So yeah, I mean, obviously I think there'll be a few adjustments, maybe a bit shorter wheelbase, things like that. But I bet we run pretty similar, not setups, but pretty similar cars to what we normally use.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, look, man, I want to go to Australia, and I can't think of a better reason to go for an outdoor 10 scale world championship. So I need to figure out a way to make that happen and go enjoy that. All right, let's get back on track. So I don't know the year exactly, but you left TLR. You started working for R1. You moved to California.
Yep.
How did that all come about?
So yeah, I mean, I'd actually talked to Steve Villanueva at R1 about this kind of thing already, like, you know, moving out there. And I actually moved there when I was on TLR. And, you know, it seemed like TLR was pretty, you know, happy about that. So kind of, you know, everything that transpired was a bit surprising to me. Because, you know, I kind of get out there and then, you know, we kind of realize, okay, this TLR thing isn't going to work. So, yeah, I mean, I was definitely, you know, very disappointed about that.
You know, I got to ask what happened. Like, what was it that they didn't work? Because you was running the R1 stuff, or they wanted to run in-house stuff?
I mean, nothing really with R1 versus TLR. But there's just a few things, you know, contract-wise that, you know, kind of had some red flags. And, you know, I think the Fullers felt the same way.
Got you.
And I think, you know, maybe we saw a bit more of the Horizon takeover before everyone else. I mean, I don't really want to go into too deep a detail of exactly what was going on, but yeah, it was just kind of surprising. You know, I felt like, you know, had kind of the best year I've had racing. And I was like, oh, okay, well.
It was very surprising. Very surprising.
Yeah.
It was very good that year. What was this, 2022 or 2021?
2021, yeah, was the year that, I mean, Mason Fuller, too. I mean, he was killing it.
Yep.
You know, in 8 scale especially. I mean, he was running some 10 scale then, but I think he was kind of more focused on the, you know, starting to focus more on the 8 scale at that time. And it was definitely a bit surprising that, I mean, I don't know. I didn't even think about, you know, leaving the TLR team. And yeah, I think it was kind of like, it was pretty late in the year too. So kind of put me in a tough spot, you know, like you mentioned, you know, was running the X-ray stuff privateer. I mean, I didn't have a drive. I mean, you know, they hit us with it pretty late, which, you know, I think a lot of people have, certain others that have been under the Horizon brand have gotten that too. You know, they're kind of like, okay, you know, pretty late on. It's kind of like, okay, you know, this isn't going to work. And then you kind of are in a tough spot of like, okay, well, I have no time to find something else. So yeah, thankfully, you know, Paul Ciccarillo, the CRC race that happened right after that, Paul Ciccarillo messaged me. It's like, hey, dude, I've got COVID. If you want to race my cars, they're freaking awesome. You know, you can run them. And I actually was built an AE car before that race. And, you know, Matt was helping me build it. And yeah, I was happy that, you know, I think the car felt pretty good. I wasn't completely confident. And then, you know, I went out there and drove Paul's cars at the CRC race. I mean, the first practice session, I knew it was going to be a good weekend. I'd never even looked at an X-ray car before in my life. And I was like, dang, dude, like this thing is amazing. Like, you know, we could do good this weekend. And yeah, I ended up winning the 2-wheel mod, and I raced 17.5 for R1 that weekend. And of course, I win mod the same time I race stock, of course. So it was that was super cool. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I was very disappointed about the whole TLR thing. You know, I was definitely, there was a little bit there in between that race where, yeah, I mean, I was pretty bummed for sure. And yeah, I'm just glad, you know, I was able to work out. You know, after that CRC race, I went to the April Fool's Classic. Gord and Ty were there, and they kind of helped me, you know, get dialed in with, you know, the cars on different tracks and, you know, things to change and whatnot. And so, yeah, that was good. I mean, it ended up working out, but like I said, yeah, I was definitely pretty disappointed about that whole situation.
So where did you actually move to in California? Who was you living with? Was you living alone? Was you living with somebody?
Yeah, I was living by myself. I was in Dana Point, California. I'm about an hour north of SDRC in San Diego. And I was only like 40 minutes from OCRC. And, you know, really for me, you know, from being in California, the coolest thing that I got to do is to race at OCRC at the end.
I was about to ask, did you get a chance to go there before?
Yeah, I got to spend a bunch of time there. Matthew Willoughby, Jake, Nick, all those guys did a stellar job. And yeah, I was super thankful to be able to race with those guys and at that track there at the end. Obviously, very unfortunate that the track closed. But yeah, I mean, made some lifelong friends at that place. So it was definitely, that was probably, I'd say, standout for me out there was like being able to race there. I had lots of success there before, podium Surf City, Reedy race wins. So the place was definitely pretty special to me. So to be able to kind of go there, club race, have some fun, and, get to know the locals.
You won Reedy race?
Help me. Open class, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
I miss that
and
race so
full.
much. I miss it.
Yeah. Definitely would be nice to see something like that come back. BT, let's get on it, bro.
I know, but I don't. It doesn't seem like there's any drive to do it, unfortunately. So
yeah. Unfortunately not, because that was definitely one of the coolest races. Get to see all the European guys come together and race, and then obviously in the open class as well. Some U.S. guy, even I think Iona Hotman won one of the times I was there in the open. So yeah, I mean it was cool to see that in the invite class. Kind of gave everybody a chance to shine, and yeah, that was definitely a great race. I wish we had that still.
Yeah, man. I was fortunate enough to visit OCRC on my travels and spend a couple of days there. Never turned any laps there, but amazing place and left quite a vacuum in California for 10 scale. I mean, we have SDRC, we have Hot Rod, we have Coyote Hobbies and all that stuff, but it's not OCRC, right? And lots of fast racers came out of OCRC. But that's something I want to talk to you about later on. But I want to, so you moved to California, which is completely different from Iowa, a lot more expensive. What was your job at R1? I mean, what was the thought of moving to California so you could get more track time as well as work?
For sure. Yeah. That was definitely the plan, was to, get more track time, obviously run at OCRC, SDRC, Rain Man's Hobby as well. That place was fun. Coyote, it was also a very challenging track. That was a great practice. Davey and Dave did a great job there. When they started gluing the track, before, the Hoosier events, when we go there on the glued track, we'd kind of go there and practice. And it was higher grip than the Hoosier track was. So we would show up to Hoosier and everybody's like, oh my gosh, the grip's so high. And we were kind of already used to, that kind of traction. So it felt more normal to us. So I think, a lot of my success at the Hoosier track, which has been one of my better tracks, the last 2-3 years, I think definitely I can attest to, going to practice at Coyote definitely helped, for that event. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a void in, the 10 scale stuff after OCRC closed down. But, working at R1, I was helping with support, building motors. Really, honestly, with R1, it's kind of just what needed to be done that day. I mean, when you have 5 or 6 people at the shop, and there's, orders to ship and whatever, is kind of just day to day. What do we need to do to, get everything out and make everybody happy was really the main thing. And, I really enjoyed that, Steve.
So you was working you had to transit to work every day.
Yeah. I was working, probably 40 hours a week. And then going to practice, basically after that. So yeah, it was definitely
able to afford living in California on a RC salary.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with the R1 thing, I mean, definitely it was a good setup for me, and allowed me to stay out there, and feel all right. But it started to get to the point where, I mean, I felt like the racing was dropping off. Whereas in the Midwest, I feel like it's honestly making a bit of gains. More and more people are 8 scale and 10 scale. I mean, really, you don't see 10 scale excelling in many areas right now. But
one area.
Yeah, around here, it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of was a mixture of like, okay, we're paying $7 for gas now. This is like, it's a lot of money. And then I felt like, maybe I'm not getting the track time that, I initially envisioned, obviously, after OCRC closed. SDRC is an hour away, but if there's a crash or something, it takes me 3 hours to get there.
Traffic sucks in California. Sucks.
Yeah, it's horrible. So yeah, I mean, it was a great experience for me. I'm very happy that I did that. I definitely won't forget that stuff. Definitely feel like I'm a bit more aware about, what's going on around me at all times, which I think is a good thing. Obviously there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on over there. So
that was fun, I bet you. I love
yeah.
California. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. It was cool for me. Obviously being a Midwest guy, I think the ocean's awesome. I like the palm trees and stuff. And yeah, it was like I said, it was great. I got to race with Davey, Matt, the Raymonds, and all these other guys. And, lifelong friends with these guys now. Mason Templeman, Tyler Fenster.
Both fast racers. Both very fast racers.
Yeah. And, we've had some amazing times together. Ian Crawford was racing and he started working at R1. He doesn't race anymore, but, that kind of crew of guys, I had some great times with them, and, I'll never forget, racing with them, and, some of the memories for sure. Can't forget that stuff. So yeah, like I said, I'm super happy I did that, but I think it was the right time to come back here. And honestly, kind of hate to say it, but I've been back here and I think my racing's improved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, now I can practice on dirt and carpet, which clearly is an advantage, especially the carpet stuff. Like I said, the West Coast, all the West Coast guys, yeah, they have the A main track, but that's like 7 hours north of where I lived. So it's like, really,
there's no carpet tracks in SoCal?
I think there might be one now, like a hobby town somewhere. I can't remember, and there's also a track called Ricochet. But that, I don't think that they have that track anymore either. I think just the shop's there now.
Interesting.
So yeah, really no carpet running for me ever happened there. And then, yeah, now being here, getting to mix it up a little bit. And then, I'm going to be running some 8 scale. There's Fuller's. I've been setting up a track, about 20 minutes from me here. So definitely need to go get whooped on by those guys running some 8 scale, improve my driving. Because I know, that extra 8 scale stuff is awesome. And yeah, I just need to put in the time. And, I think being able to run with those guys is going to be a big advantage for me.
Yeah, you brought up a topic that I had for later, but we might as well touch on it now. And that was about, back in the day, it was like you had to go to SoCal to be a top driver and all this type of stuff. And this is no offense to the California guys and SoCal as it is. I think that's not it anymore. I think in 10 scale, and no, this is no disrespect to SDRC and, Coyote Hobson. David Botta's killing it. He's probably the top mod 2 10 scale guy coming out of California right now.
Yeah, he's dialed, man.
He is. He was fast this weekend too. And you have fast stock, like Mason Tellman is a very good stock racer. Tyler Fenster is a very good all-around racer, very good 10 scale, very good 8 scale racer. But it seems like California or the West Coast, I would say California, because that's where everybody is, kind of lost that magic that it used to have of producing very fast races. Look, Mayfield, Cavallari, T-Ball, those guys used to go out there or have lived out there at some point. And they still have a very good racing scene. The Midwest has always been a very big racing scene. I think 8 scale is growing a lot more in the Midwest. 10 scale is growing more because obviously in the Midwest you have winter. So 10 scale pretty much goes through the winter. But the Southeast, in my opinion, right now is probably the biggest 8 scale market right now. They have lots of big races, and especially I always talk about especially Florida. But 10 scale is growing in Florida. It's got a lot of tracks, a lot of indoor tracks, a couple of outdoor tracks. I think in the whole of Southeast, 10 scale is the biggest in Florida right now and growing. And I don't think you need to be in California to be better nowadays. I think you need to, like you said, you're getting better. I assume, are you living at home now there in Iowa?
Yep, living at home again, which obviously has been nice. It's great to be with family here, and really most of my family is here. My grandparents are here as well, not too far away. So yeah, I mean, in California, I felt a bit disconnected from those guys, and obviously it was a bit difficult at times. So yeah, no, it's good to be back here, and yeah, I mean, even here, I mean, running like at the Hobbyplex Omaha Summer Series. I mean, I've got guys, Nick Gibson, Mason Herrick, Owen Vanderbeek. These guys are, maybe, some of you guys haven't heard of these guys, but, I think at the Omaha INS, it's going to be pretty interesting to watch these races because, those guys have been getting very quick over there. And, I'm going over there racing, in Omaha, and it's not easy. Alex Vanderbeek as well is in that. So yeah, there's lots of fast guys for me to race around here as well. And honestly, it feels just as competitive, if not more, than it did in California, because, sometimes, maybe I can't go to a race or Davey can't go or Matt's not there. And when that would happen, it kind of just was like, okay, I'm racing one guy. And really, like, Cavallari never really raced that much. Like, I see he's been running some more at SDRC, but I mean, I never really saw him around.
He used to do OCRC pretty heavy, but
even then, I mean, I never saw him club race there at the end. I don't think, we maybe club raced twice that whole time I was there. So yeah, I definitely feel like kind of, after OCRC, the competition kind of fell away to a certain point. Obviously, not that, obviously Davey and Matt are great competition, but like I said, if one of us wasn't there, it's kind of like, well,
Midwest, man. Midwest is stacked, very stacked.
Yeah.
What about X-rays? So you, like I said, you was privateer for some time. You kind of officially, when did you officially start running for them?
I would say kind of towards middle to end of 2022. We had worked something out to where, RC America was helping me. They were giving me parts, out of their pocket, the kits. So, very thankful for those guys. They really, took initiative to keep me going on the X-ray stuff, which I really appreciate that. I mean, they didn't have to do that. There was no contract saying that they had to do that for me, and they did. So yeah, I was, that was really good. And then, yeah, like I said, I mean, Gord and Ty were definitely, they were supportive of me joining the team, as well. And then, yeah, got to get in, talking to Chase, obviously Paul I knew before, Ethan Mechanic. And now obviously, the Testmans aren't around as much, so, or not at all. But yeah, it's, I'm really happy with the team we have. I feel like we worked well together. I think I mentioned this earlier, it's like, obviously I can run on dirt, but, Chase is solely running, he's running on dirt a lot.
So he doesn't do any carpet racing?
Yeah, I think there's a track, Rug Burners, that looks pretty awesome. That's close to him. It's kind of office carpet, pretty high grip, a smaller track. So, he's running there as well. But obviously, I mean, you know how it goes, being at the bigger carpet tracks obviously is a lot different than driving on the like smaller carpet tracks. Just the speed you're hitting is absolutely unreal. I can't even believe how fast these cars could go and how much they could take, because it feels like you're just going at Mach 10,000 the whole time, and the cars can handle it.
What type of where's Chase Lemieux from?
He's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay, so it's up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, right there by trackside.
Okay. So obviously trackside's probably one of his, if his home track. With Ty and Gord leaving X-Ray, which I had him on her earlier a few podcasts ago, but earlier this year, we kind of honestly, I didn't expect Ty to be out at such an. I expected probably Gord to be going, but not Ty and Gord. What type of has that left a hole? Did that leave kind of a hole in the X-Ray? Because they were X-Ray for America for the longest time. I don't really know what the hierarchy is now at X-Ray going in. I always thought Paul Ciccarello would make a very good team manager because he's just really good at supporting people and whatnot. But did the departure of Ty and Gord leave kind of a blank space there for the X-Ray team for a while, or has it been filled to an extent?
I mean, it's kind of tough to say. I mean, those guys obviously were very knowledgeable. They know a lot. Ty is an amazing driver. Utmost respect to him. He's always on it. I thought he was doing amazing in 8 scale. His last year of racing, he was doing well at a lot of the events. Obviously here and there things happen, but I thought he was still racing at a very high level. But honestly, I mean, I think people have heard this here and there, but I feel like the team's a bit more calm now. I feel like we all know what we need to do. Obviously, the test beds, especially at 8 scale, like at the Nitro Nationals, dude, I would be screwed if those guys were not there. I mean, Gord and Ty helping me, okay, this is how you need to set up the clutch. This is how you tune the engine the right way. You got to rebuild stuff like this. This is, that was huge. Like in 8 scale, those guys definitely knew what they were doing. And yeah, maybe there's a bit of a void there, but at the same time, I must say, like, obviously Paul Ciccarello knows what he's doing. I felt like his car setups always worked a bit better for me than maybe like what Ty's stuff would, especially the 10 scale side. But I feel like, Paul and Ethan, obviously they worked with those guys for a long time, and, they know what to do and how to, get our cars set up the right way, and things like that. So honestly, I mean, obviously, there is a void when a guy like Gordon and Ty, like those two, I mean, they're big dogs in RC. For them not be there, it does make a bit of a hole. But honestly, I feel like, all of us have some strong suits, and I feel like the team has been, I feel like we've all worked together a bit better, and, we're all more open to each other's ideas than maybe before. So yeah, I mean, I think it really hasn't been like, oh, this is, terrible that they left, or this is awesome that they left. Obviously there's positives and negatives to that stuff, but, I feel like, we've all done a good job of, putting the time in, knowing what we need to do, and filling the void of, the knowledge that those guys had. So yeah, I mean, I'm super happy with how the X-Ray team is right now. Chase, Paul, Ethan, Greg, many other, I'm sure I'm missing
Riley,
people. Philbs, good old Philbs, some other guys. I mean, yeah, we have a great team. Tyler Patino has been doing awesome in stock. Jake Wiggs. I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting people.
Kai Goff's really good over
Kai
in Florida.
Goff, Kyle Go, Jeff Stakowitz. I mean, we have a sick team, man.
I forgot about Kyle Go and Jeff Stacks.
So it's kind of like, I mean, I feel like we're doing well. We
10 scale wise, you have a really great team. Probably not got there in the 8 scale side, I would say at the moment. That would be probably the biggest void that's missing right now. I mean, obviously Ciccarello does good, but 10 scale wise, you guys are doing good. 8 scale, definitely need to find somebody. I still think Cavalier is going to X-Ray, but in 2024. How is the dynamic with the European guys? Because when I talk to Ty and Gord, they've always said that it wasn't that good, because they obviously different areas need different things, right? And I know that I think Ty said at first they are very they listened to him a lot and they paid attention to him, but at the end they kind of didn't really do the things that they wanted to do. How has your interaction been with the European X-Ray guys like Bayer and Gotzel, who's been, I think the main two guys have been doing all the work. Now we have obviously Rana Falk on the team. Bruno, like, I don't care what anybody says, Bruno is number 1 on this team, period. And he's earned that right. Multiple world champion, multiple European champion, all this type of stuff. What is the dynamic like? Do you have much interaction with the European side of things?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, I felt like when, Gord and Ty were on the team, they kind of took a bit more care of that stuff in a way. So I feel like my interaction at that time wasn't as much, but now that they haven't been on the team, honestly, it's been great working with, Martin and Max. Those guys, they've been working hard. We have different things on the 2-wheel drive car. Obviously the new car comes out, it was better than what we have. And then, they're still working to make improvements, different chassis, different things like this. And honestly, yeah, like before this race at Island, obviously it went very well. I was able to win both classes. My 2-wheel drive, I felt comfortable on carpet, but 4-wheel, I was struggling a little bit. It's very hard. The car's going very fast. You have so much steering and grip and power. It's hard to manage the car. And, I was talking, especially Max, he helped me a lot with the 4-wheel setup. I was kind of explaining to him, here's what's going on. He's like, okay, send me, what you're using. I can give you some ideas on what to do. And it was huge. I mean, that made the difference for me at this event. I showed up to the event with a few different little things than before. Nothing too crazy, but just a few, little adjustments that he's like, okay, you could pay attention to this. Your car's doing this. And yeah, it made a huge difference for me. And, my 4-wheel was my strongest car this past weekend. I felt like the thing was absolutely unbelievable. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like the communication with those guys has been better than ever. I never really got to see it as much before. But, and us, honestly, too, Gord, he's a great guy. He's serious. He would get a bit upset sometimes, and I always felt like, he was, if he was ever upset with me or something, he just wants us to do good. He wants us to do better, and he's all about winning. And, I think talking to those X-ray guys, I felt like maybe he was a bit direct sometimes, or I'm not sure what the right word is, maybe a bit aggressive about, the issues or things that we have, which is good. But I'm not sure, maybe that rubbed them the wrong way a little bit in some aspects, which I feel like it did. I mean, kind of at the World's warm-up race, between some of those guys, it didn't seem, all happy completely. So I think, now the communication has been good. I think it's, we're constructive with each other, but, we try and, I think, just a bit more of a calm approach about, issues that we have and whatever. I think that's pretty important. And maybe that was rubbing them the wrong way. Cause yeah, I listened to Ty's interview with you, and I thought it was amazing. It was awesome to listen to Ty, all the little incidents, going on in his career and different wins that he had. But yeah, I mean, those guys were serious, man. They were all about winning, and it was no joke if something was wrong. And I think that's how it should be. But maybe, I felt like there was times where maybe it was a bit over the top. And I think, maybe that's why some of the things that, wanted to be changed and stuff like that didn't happen as quick. Maybe they took it the wrong. I'm not sure, really. But for me, this year, I've had absolutely no issues with any of the X-Ray Europe guys. They've been pumping out new stuff for us, working on different setups, sending us email, hey, try this. And, they've been a huge help. And this Island carpet race without those guys, it would have been a joke, it would have been a lot harder for me for sure. So yeah, these guys for me have been great. They've been making great changes on the cars. They're open to hear what we have to say about issues and things like that. So yeah, it's been good for sure.
How about you probably haven't had much interaction with him, but you did do the Worlds with him. How about Bruno? Like, what's your interactions with him? He's very kind of stoic. He seems like, I haven't sat in the pits with him. Different culture too. Europe's a whole different culture, and then each country has its own individual culture. So what has been your kind of thoughts with sitting around, maybe, I don't know, like what the pit situations were at the Worlds, but what's your interactions with a guy like Bruno Coelho?
Yeah, no, Bruno's a very good guy, man. He's definitely one of my favorites out of any of the top guys that I've met. He's just a very genuine dude. He's just like any of us. He just drives absolutely insane. And yeah, I mean, he's, he seems to be very calm a lot of times, even when things maybe aren't going, his way, which at the Worlds, it really wasn't going our way, every run for sure. And I feel like, he has a pretty calm, level head, just trying to figure out, he's very good at knowing what the car is doing. Like if, something's wrong with the rear end or the front end of the car, I mean, he knows exactly what is going on. maybe he doesn't have the perfect answer for like what to do because he runs so many different classes. It has to be so hard to know, what things change on, his on-road car versus this. And that's where Max, and Martin, like I said, they come into play a lot. It's like, I feel like, the top guys were very good at, we know maybe sometimes we know what the feeling is like that we don't like. But sometimes it's what is the right change to do. And that's where guys like Max and, Martin come into play and are very helpful. And Bruno is just, he's an amazing driver. We were at the World's warm-up. He kind of had his four-wheel set up a bit different than us. I actually think that Gordon Ty took his car and changed it over to our setup for the third qualifier. And the guy goes out there P2 for the round. Me, Ty, and Chase are not even in the top 10. And I'm just like, oh, this guy is so good, man. And
I know.
like I said, he's a positive guy. He was nice to be around in the pits. Only good things to say about Mr. Bruno for sure.
How about before we move on, how about you had a little bit of experience with European racers. We got a lot of fast European guys coming up. A lot of young guys coming up over there. What's your thoughts on the RC scene over there in Europe compared to the USA?
I mean, the main thing that stands out to me is their event structure. I think that, they show up to these races. There's no open practice. They have controlled runs, spec tires. It just seems a bit more controlled there than it does here. Obviously, there's so many amazing drivers there. Obviously Marcus Carrup has been awesome. Tommy Hall.
Mm-hmm. We had Noah Ben Mohammed, who did really well at the e-buggy Euros this past weekend.
Yeah, and Remy Bermudez too.
Mm-hmm.
He's really fast. So their racing is awesome. But honestly, for me, I feel like they have great drivers, and I think that we have great drivers here as well. But to me, their events are way more organized than ours, and seem more legit to me. Just having they show up and there's 3 or 4, 5 controlled practice runs by heats. I think that's how it should be at every event, because we're here. At this past weekend, we had an open practice on Wednesday at the island track, which is okay. But we're there on Wednesday. I'm not a huge fan personally. But Thursday we show up and it's controlled heats. 4-minute runs. You're in this race and this race, and you're gonna run 3 times. And you see that at every single race in Europe, and you almost never ever see that here. And honestly, I think that, we need to step it up in that aspect, because I think, it just seems extra legit, their races, NASCAR guys can't just go out there, or F1, right? They can't just go run a day before the event for 8 hours open practice. It just doesn't happen.
Absolutely. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
That's the biggest difference. I feel like their events are more structured. Not that the events here are bad. I'm not trying to knock any of the events here, but I think that we could do a better job of, just being a bit more controlled. Because I'm sure you've seen it. We go to these races. There's huge long lines. You're holding radios in line for people.
I know exactly what you mean, dude.
It just becomes beyond getting out there on your own. You're I'm banking on your teammates to hold your radio in line, get extra time, and to me it's just silly. Really, we shouldn't be having to worry about that.
We've had this discussion many times on this podcast, many times. Great segue into INS this past weekend. Island RC Speedway. Tell me a little bit about this place. I've heard about it. First time I've really watched any racing from it. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I just to give you a bit of background, the first time I ever went there was probably in 2015. They used to have a different facility very close to where they are now. It was a lot smaller of a track. I actually ran Associated at that time. So this is definitely probably 2016. I would say I went there. And they ran foam tires at the time. And some of the locals still use foam tires in off-road at this track. For the INS, it wasn't allowed, so everybody's been kind of switching to the rubber tires, like the JConcepts. You know, the fuzz bites and the pin swags have been. I mean, if you don't have those, it's kind of what are you doing, pretty much. So yeah, so I've been going to this track. You know, the owner Tom McCleary, Sue, his wife, Jamie Thompson, Tom Napper. You know, all these guys, they work very, very hard on this facility, you know, every single time. You know, when I go there, they go above and beyond. You know, every time I go club race, you know, you could order a pizza through the shop and they'll make it for you and bring it out to you. You know, there's food trucks there this past weekend. You know, the facility's super clean. You know, the track's awesome. They take very good care of their carpets. You know, they do an amazing job over there. And, you know, I was really excited for everybody to show up because every time I've been there, I've had so much fun. I've really enjoyed it. So I think it was, you know, a big opportunity for them to have a race like this. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, it seemed like everybody had a good time. But yeah, I mean, the place is kind of in the middle of nowhere to a certain extent. Like Nate Sutherland, Tyler Patino, and we are all like close around 2 hours away from the track, but we don't live close to each other at all. So like we all kind of live like around the track, but none of us are like super close. And I told the owner Tom when I first went there, I was like, man, if this place is just like an hour closer, I'd come here like a couple times a week. He's like, oh man, how many times I've heard this? How many times I've heard this before? It's like everybody wants it to be just an hour closer. So yeah, it's a cool location over there. Definitely, you know, Iowa style for sure. So yeah, I think, you know,
Iowa style in what way?
I mean, it's a small town. I mean, you know, there's not a whole lot going on over there. I mean, there's some good places to eat. You know, some local places, some standard places that everybody knows about. But yeah, it was definitely, you know, small town style, and you know, I was glad that everybody got to come and, you know, check it out.
Was this their first INS race?
So they actually had because they made the Carpet and Dirt Series 1 series for this year. And last year they had one of the carpet rounds there. But definitely not a lot of like the top guys went. So yeah, being able to have like guys like Spencer, Cavallari, Champlin, Horn, Rivkin, Davey, that was pretty cool to, you know, see everybody there. And, you know, I mean, for the most part, there's a couple of guys that, you know, I'm sure you guys can assume, you know, didn't really like the track or was kind of complaining a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, all the AE guys, you know, most of the people that came really enjoyed the track of the facility. So
yeah, it looked good. We kind of so we saw Little Bump go to, and he did double duty. He did stock and mod for Schumacher. The stock class was kind of not. It didn't have like stacks go. I mean, the main characters were Jovi. Who else did we have? I had it right up here just a second.
Jovi, Fee, Jake Wiggs, Patino,
Sutherland.
Man, it's hard to think of everybody. I need to pull up. Let me pull up the results.
I am too. I see that Henley didn't make the main in two-wheel drive. Ooh, I just saw that.
Yeah, Doug, the Raymonds were out there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Aaron Mitchell and Jake Wiggs, shout out to those guys. You know, local guys around here that, you know, I think can make the step to being one of the top stock drivers. They both ended up on the podium this weekend in one of the classes. So shout out to those guys. They did great. It's really nice to see. So different names up there. Kalis Lowe as well. He's from Northern California, little guy. He's been super fast. So yeah, and yeah, Fee's I like Fee, man. He's a good guy. We had some fun this weekend, and yeah, he definitely adapted very well to, you know, something completely different that he's not used to. So
yeah, if that Schumacher ride is starting to do a lot more racing. I'm sorry, I did make a mistake. I'm looking at results. Oh, so do they have bump ups from the B main, or is just 10 and okay?
So in mod they do 10 plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then in stock, they do 8+2.
So do they just bump? So it's just single lower mains. Yeah.
Yeah, single lower mains.
Okay. All right. But Jovi killed it. Jovi very fast. I think him and Doug came down to a tie in one of the classes. If I'm not mistaken.
Think two-wheel was a 3-way tie for the win. Yeah. Jovi, Doug, and Aaron Mitchell all had 4 points. Jovi didn't even win one of the mains, and he won. He got 2 second places.
I know, that's incredible.
And then,
Aaron got a win, and so did Doug.
Yeah, Doug and Aaron had a first and third. Wow.
And Bump got a win too. So check that out.
Yeah, Bump had. Yeah, I didn't see what happened in A3, but there's a little bit of I'm not sure if he crashed or what happened, but I felt like he was up there, and then I started warming up my diff, and then all of a sudden he was in 4th or 5th place. I was like, I didn't know what happened really, but yeah.
Was he there with his dad?
No, it's Mike Winders, one of the guys. He's from over by Hoosier, and he was helping Fee out a lot this past weekend. He was on hardcore duty, dude. He had so many cars. I mean, Fee was running 3 cars in the A mains, so he had to. I mean, there's basically Fee was out there 9 times.
Wow.
So I mean, yeah, Mike was definitely scrambling for sure to keep Fee's stuff on the track and getting them working well. But I think he did a good job of that. Fee looked pretty comfortable out there for never really running carpet off-road, and I know it's not easy. It's way different. Just it's just like me going out there running 8 scale, dude. It's tough. It's hard.
Carpet's not easy, dude. You gotta be. I figured. I love it though. I love it.
Yeah.
Your qualifying, we saw you took a win. You took 1 TQ, and it looks like Brock took in 2-wheel drive. Brock was the overall TQ. He took rounds 2 and 3. You took round 1 with a 2 in round 3. David Battle was 3rd. Spencer Ricken 4th. Cavallari. People keep counting them out, but I think Cav is still doing quite well in 10 scale. Aiden Brandon Foote, Little Bump, Matty G, and then Jamie Thompson was 10th in 4-wheel drive qualifying. Sorry, 2-wheel drive qualifying. And then in 4-wheel drive, it was Brock. You didn't get a win in there. Brock took 2 wins. You got a 2, a 10, and a 2. David Bada took a win in round 2. Rivkin, Cavallari, Aiden Horn, Brandon Foote, who's very fast as well from the Pacific Northwest. Charlie Diekman must be a local, I believe.
Yeah, he's actually from the Rug Burners track in Wisconsin. Okay. So he comes down sometimes, but he definitely doesn't get to show up all the time. I think he kind of was he probably went once per month, before the race. So he probably went 3 or 4 times before the race, but still a bit of a drive for him, not exactly super close. So yeah, he's awesome, man. He showed up pretty late to the race too. He showed up on Friday. He missed all of Saturday, or not all Saturday, all Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, he's always quick. Every time he comes to the track, I can't play around club racing because he's always running pretty close to the pace. So yeah, it's nice to see him do well for sure.
So how did you feel after qualifying? Did you feel you was on pace to challenge Brock? Having Spencer and those guys in your rearview mirror must have felt good as well.
Yeah. I mean, I knew really, I just had some mistakes in qualifying. You wreck one time, you put yourself down pretty far. 2-wheel, I felt like I should have TQ'd. I felt like I had it in the second qualifier and made a mistake coming up the hill. But yeah, I mean, it was on me really. I mean, I knew my stuff was awesome. Obviously Brock and Davey were flying. But yeah, I mean, I was still very confident going into the mains, like I said, felt comfortable with the cars. Everything was working good. I knew that it was all on me, in order to win, which is a great feeling for me. At least for me, it gives a good confidence boost. Okay, my stuff's good. It's all on me. I've got to drive right. And yeah, I mean, it was good. I was able to put pressure on Brock. He definitely, yeah, I mean, I got him to crack a few times. And yeah, that definitely made a big difference for sure. So.
All right, we're going to bring up the controversial A2 while we talk about this, so people can see this. Let me turn that down. But you go out and you take a A1 win in 2-wheel drive over Brock by a second. pretty much, just over a second, which is very also building your confidence. He came second, David Bada third, Spencer Rivkin fourth, and Aiden Horn fifth. So you must have felt good going into that. And then let's see, four-wheel drive. We're going to talk about more about this. I mean, if you guys want to go see some of this racing, because it was really great, go to Mod Live Media. They did a good job, or JConcepts, and go find out the mains, because I think all three of the mains were good, because this did go down. No, and four-wheel drive you wanted in 2. So four-wheel drive, good job. You wrapped that up in A1 and A2, and set that out. And David Bada came second, followed by Cav, Rivkin, and Brock Champlin. So Brock did his top 5. He didn't even.
Yeah, I think he broke in A1, and then A3. He kind of just had a bit of a tough run, it seemed like.
But this is the race for her that was pretty wild. So in A2, well, I might just fast forward it a little bit. A2, you and Brock were having a great battle for first and second. I'm surprised nobody, well, probably because I didn't do it, but I'm surprised nobody has clipped this move and put it on the internet. I think it was A2. It was A2 of two-wheel drive, correct?
Yeah. This is the race for sure.
Yeah. So there's Brock out in front. Dude, I was getting so confused with you guys callers because it looks so similar. Do I have this one hot? Let me hold on. Keenan, Lefty, are you an idiot? Nope, you got it on normal. It's just you guys are just going that fast. I really like this track. A little bit smaller than Beachline, but very challenging. What type of carpet are they using? CRC carpet?
Yeah, so this is CRC carpet, and what's crazy, what I think is pretty awesome, is this carpet is actually 4 or 5 years old, and
really,
it is in such good condition for how long it's been ran on. And the traction was good. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be like a brand new carpet track. But yeah, I mean, obviously, as you can see, it was intense driving out there, lots of corner speed, lots of initial traction. So yeah, I mean, these guys did a great job. I felt like the layout was a bit busier than what I was used to here. Normally at this track, we're doing like 14, sometimes 13-second laps. And for this race, they definitely made it a bit more busy, which I think it should be. It should be a bit more difficult for a race like this.
But still very fast. Still very fast in section.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah,
real quick, are these two walls permanently in the track? Like this big, I like this turn wall that they had there. I saw you make some great passes there, by the way, too.
Yeah, they normally have that wall right there, but at the end of the straightaway, they actually built that for this race.
Okay.
But yeah, normally we use the wall, on this side of the track. Sometimes they'll put like 2 180s in it. Sometimes we'll hit it at the end of the straightaway, going the opposite way we are now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that's always something, that's something very unique about this track. And I think that a lot of people liked it. And I think it makes it even more exciting than just like standard, like a standard race.
Absolutely. You said this carpet was 5 years old. Is that because the locals run a lot of foam tires on it? Probably.
Yeah, so the locals run a lot of foam tires on it, and I haven't heard this really from the owners, honestly, but I think that the new version CRC carpet, some people have been having some problems. Certain tracks have been kind of not super happy with it, so I think it's kind of like, yeah, it's in pretty good condition, so let's keep using it.
Why not?
And yeah, it's like I said, I mean, as you can tell, I mean, there's definitely no lack of speed out there. No lack of traction. So yeah, I mean, yeah, they did a great job. They do, like I said, I mean, I don't think it could have been much better of a layout for racing this weekend. So
yeah, you're chasing down Brock right now. What was probably one of the more difficult parts of this track, and what was your favorite part? What was your fastest part of the track?
So I would say the hardest part is definitely going up the hill, coming up here pretty quick. This section coming up right here, jumping up this hill, is a bit hard to see because you never have like a full straight line on it. I felt like I was super fast there, so I did like that section. I felt like I was able to make up a lot of time a few times, and also the center S was, I felt like, my strongest part of the track. I felt like I had lots of initial traction and was really straight lining it super fast. as you can kind of see, I mean, in this race, you know, it seemed like the whole time Brock would start off very fast. And my car was not bad at the start. I just felt like I didn't. Maybe it's my driving a little bit or whatnot, but you know, towards the end of the runs here, as you can see, I mean, I was able to start to put the pressure here. And yeah, obviously, I know I won A1 at this point, so I am going to try and race him as hard as I can.
Dude, you are hounding him.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Brock, I have so much respect for this guy. He's, you know, one of the fastest, you know, racers, you know, out there. And one of the best things that I've noticed about his racing is putting pressure on people. So I was trying to put a little bit of trying to pull something out of his playbook here.
Well, let's go look at that again. Let's go look at that in slow motion, because that was beautiful.
I did not realize it was that close.
We're going to slow it down. That was beautiful. Absolutely. So for those of you that are listening to this, please come over to the YouTube side of things and check out this footage, or if not, go to Mod Live Media. Dude, you almost clipped his wing just now. Look at this. Dude, he just went a little bit wide, and I don't know how you even put a wheelie coming on there. Flip the pipe, and then that led him back by. But this led to an epic battle coming up. Let me put it back on full speed. Yeah, dude, I have to go look at that again. Hold on. Let's go back. I want to go back. Yeah, let's go here, because this is where the infamous. See, you just was able to carry so much more speed right there than him. Even right there, whew, that was close.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, when you're in the lead, you can't open up the corners quite as much. So I was definitely, you know, trying to open up the corners to, you know, look for an opportunity like that. Holy shit, man, that's crazy. I did not think it was that close.
Dude, if you didn't pull that wheelie, you would have made that pass stick.
Dang, dude, I didn't realize that. I did not realize it was that close. That's nuts.
Let's go back to full speed. So, like I said, if you're listening to this on the audio only, please go over to the YouTube side of things. You can go look at Mod Media. I should even tell you the timestamp. We're at like 6 minutes, 6 hours and something. A2 two-wheel drive. Dude, you are flying right now. Like, I think you got your confidence. The one thing I told you before we came on, I loved how aggressive he was. You know, you have to be like, you can't just sit back. Ooh, okay, so now we have to go back. All right, so now we have to go back, because I have mixed feelings about this. I'm really surprised we haven't seen this on the internet. But so let me go forward a little bit so we come up. After that, you're coming through this S section. You're right behind Brock, and you're carrying so much speed. You got the inside line there. You jump over, and I don't know. Let's go back and have a look at it. He's laughing. Let's pause it right at the moment of impact. So it's kind of like, it's so close. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know I sent it in there on that corner. I felt like, you know, he'd opened it up a few times, you know, in the previous laps.
Mm-hmm.
So I did try to make the pass, and yeah, I mean, you could definitely see I did hit him. And honestly, I kept driving because it's so, you know, we're going very fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to tell exactly what happened. And the last thing I want to do is wait for him, and then I like cost myself the win.
Absolutely.
So I keep going. And yeah, I mean, you know, Brock is, like I said, I mean, Brock is, you know, he's definitely one of the best at putting on pressure. You know, I was trying to do the same thing that he does. You know, he puts on lots of pressure. And, you know, I think there's some other things, you know, going on maybe, you know, behind the scenes that, you know, I think there's a little bit of smack talking here and there. You know, I'm not sure if he thinks I heard about
the last lap too. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure if he, you know, I heard, you know, he's talking some smack about, you know, and me and some other guys a little bit. Some of the guys pitting around him had some things to say about that. So yeah, I was going to race him absolutely as hard as I could. And yes, I know I sent it on him there at the end. And yeah, I mean, honestly, ultimately, it was probably the right call to, you know, reverse it. But if I waited, I mean, I would have, I would have regretted it a little bit in a certain way.
You know what, dude? I get it. When you get it's such tight margins, you go in so fast. You kind of have to last couple of laps. He's smart. Like you immediately walked off the stand. Like you knew he was probably going to say something. I was like, best thing to do, avoid that confrontation on the stand, and deal with it. So I guess this is the protest right here where they're protesting it prior to. So, what was the official decision that they gave for this situation?
So initially they were just going to flip our times. And that's why I was not very happy, because I felt like that wasn't the right way to do it, because that would screw me in the tiebreaker. And I felt like, we would have came to the line. It would have been less than a half of a second. And I was like, that's why you could see I was talking to the race director, Jimmy Keenan. He's actually announced my races since I first started RC. He announces around here a good amount at certain tracks. And yeah, I was upset because I felt like the tiebreaker was not going to be fair to me. So that's what I was upset about. I did not, obviously Brock has the right to protest, and he probably should have. I mean, you can see the video. I definitely hit him. And yeah, I mean, thankfully that worked out. We worked it out to where it was like he would have won by a half of a second. We decided was fair, which was cool with me and him. And, we talked, we were cool before the Banes. We were both telling each other, we're driving on absolute pins and needles out there. We're absolutely fine. So we were ready to put on a show for everybody here in A3.
So no words between you. What did he say when because you smiling at the end of this? But dude, I've seen Brock do the same to people. So no words between you and him after this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand 100% why he was upset, if he was to be upset.
Yeah, I mean, we were, like I mentioned, I mean, obviously, we were both a bit upset initially, because obviously I was getting the place taken. And really for me, I was upset because I felt like the tiebreaker wasn't going to be fair to me, which ended up being fine. And right before, I mean, we were talking to the announcer up in the booth up there in the top left corner. And, after we had kind of settled what was going to happen, I mean, we were both like, dude, we are absolutely ripping out there. Like, let's put on a show for these guys.
Beautiful pass. Let's go back. Hold on. I'm sorry to.
Yeah.
But that was a beautiful pass, dude.
Yeah. Coming through here. Yeah, got him in the same corner.
Ooh,
and then
he got you back.
Yeah.
Let's see that again.
Yeah, I mean, what are we? You're literally going straight, but that's fine.
I mean, you have to expect some sort of retaliation, dude.
Yeah, for sure. But for me, I didn't understand it because I was winning the tiebreaker. So him taking us out and putting us back farther, and then he hits me again, which is fine. I mean, which is whatever. But for me, I was like, I didn't care that he did that because I was going to win the race. But then there was a bit of carnage, and we find ourselves in the lead here in the next couple 2, 3, 4 laps here, as you guys will probably see.
Let's see if we can. There's Bada hit clips. He falls off the side. Cav takes over the lead now. Bada gets it wrong again, and you're there in second now.
Yeah, and then Horn. Oh, dang, Horn. Dang it, dude. Needed Horn to stick that one right there. Would have helped me a little bit.
Oh man, how nervous was you up there while this is going on?
I don't know. I mean, I think at least for me, if I'm a little bit upset or in the heat of the moment, I kind of I feel like my driving gets better. So honestly, at this point, I know that I'm ahead of Brock on track. We're obviously a lot faster than Cavallari. Cav is going good, obviously, but I mean, it was pretty clear that me and Brock were the fastest guys the whole time in two-wheel. So at this point, I'm not really trying to rush it too much. Cav flies off there. I think he hit the dot in the center. So now I'm back in the lead. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't, mess around anymore. I have to win over Brock to win the overall. So at this point, I'm just trying to, keep it going and not let him get too close. Because, I pulled out that move on him. he kind of got into me a little bit, and he waited. He did the right thing both times. So I got so lucky there, but I did
Great
not.
recovery, dude.
I did
Great
not
recovery.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, obviously things happen. There's a bit of drama. But honestly, I think it made it a bit more exciting for everyone.
Absolutely.
And I know we put on a great show. So yeah, I mean, it all worked out. And
let's not forget that X-Ray and Schumacher are like bitter enemies over in Europe, right? I don't know how it is over in America. I know it's mostly AETLR, but in Europe, like Schumacher wants to beat them, and X-Ray wants to beat Schumacher. Well, they're the two major brands in carpet with AE involved in there too. But it's like I'm loving this, man. And just the speed that you guys are doing. You guys are just by far the fastest two cars here, period.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, I want to beat this guy bad. I mean, I know he wants to beat me bad. We were absolutely on it every single lap. But at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, like I got to get going here. I need to give myself a bit of space. So I'm not letting off the gas at all. I mean, I don't think I slowed down one single lap at all any of the mains. So I was able to pull a bit of a gap. Oh, I greased that line up the hill. That was good.
You pulled that gap up that hill and just was able to pull away a little bit here.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to have a little bit of space going into the last lap. So I'm kind of, thinking ahead about that. And I felt confident in all the corners and sections. So I wasn't afraid to, really push my car to the limit, even in a high pressure situation like this.
Oh man, we got 22 seconds left, so about 2 more laps here. People pull it. This was a great race too, man. This is a great series of races. You guys need to go watch this. Mod Live Media or JConcepts on YouTube. Go watch the Mod A finals, 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Brock, he squidded it. That was it. That's when you could relax with 1 second left to go.
Then I knew I had it for sure. But
good.
Yeah, I mean, on this carpet stuff, man, you cannot every time. Basically, in the qualifiers, like I slowed down a few times, and every time I slowed down, I made a mistake. So I just stayed absolutely driving as fast as I could the whole time. But yeah, no, this was awesome. I was super pumped. There's Tom down there, the owner of the track.
Just
glad I was able to hold it down on home turf. That was the goal for sure. So.
It's good, man. It's good. Much needed. Your interview was saying that your post-race interview, you were saying how you was wondering, contemplating if this is what you're really supposed to be doing because you've not been getting the wins that you want. You've been getting decent results, but not the wins. I think this gives you some absolute great colors. Is that Matty G? Is that Mexican Bob?
Yeah.
That is Mexican Bob.
Down there.
I'm just making up nicknames for him. This is also okay. So the next race is 13.5 independent. There you go. I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw the picture on JConcepts, I thought you was Brock Champlin. I do apologize, but your hair right now looked like the last time I saw Brock. And you was like doing this. You was like, Rinderknecht takes 4-wheel drive, and I saw you like pumping. I can't remember what you're doing. I was like, then I saw the X-ray shirt. Great job, man. Good job for you. Here you get an interview. You're talking about. I bet you was just pumped. Oh
yeah, I mean, obviously, when there's some drama going on a little bit, I think it makes it feel extra good. So yeah, I mean, like I said, obviously me and Brock got into it a little bit there. Maybe we were a little bit upset at each other for a moment. But like I said, I mean, he's one of the best racers that I've ever driven with on the track. And at many, many races, it's been the opposite where he's pressuring me so hard. And it's hard to drive when the guy's driving that close behind you, and this was my opportunity to kind of, give it back to him a little bit. And I felt like I had the pace and the confidence to do that. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I was trying to play a little bit out of his book. Because I feel like that's one of the best things about his driving is he puts so much pressure on the person in front of him. And yeah, I mean, I've noticed that he's made me crash many times at races just because he's right there, all up in my wing. I'm like, oh my gosh, and then make a mistake, go wide, whatever. He passed me, I wrecked. So yeah, I mean we've always raced fair. I can't think of a time where I've completely ruined him or he's completely ruined me. I felt like we've always raced well together. So yeah, I mean we definitely got into it a little bit more than we ever have. In the A2 and the A3. But like I said, I mean, yeah, we were the class of the field, and yeah, he's an amazing driver. So it was always
great
good
racing.
to be racing with him. So.
Great racing, and to be fair, I fully understand why he was upset and why he protested.
Yeah, I would have protested too. I mean, people were like, somebody was I forget who was talking to me, but they're like, "Oh man, why would he?" That's kind of he's crying or something. I'm like, no, he has the right to protest it. Like he has the right to do that. So do I. Like if I felt like something wasn't right, I have the right to protest as well. So yeah, it ended up working out okay. I felt like we were cool. After A2, we were like, we talked it out. And we wanted to put on a show for everybody. So yeah, it was good.
Absolutely.
I was so happy to get some wins. It's been over 2 years for me. So yeah, it's good.
Congratulations, dude. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job. We've been going for about an hour and 40 minutes. I have a couple more questions and then we're gonna wrap this up. Pretty straightforward. I believe carpet is future, right? You look at this type of racing, I think dirt is dying. Even though I did some racing this past trip at SORC on a glued track, it was fun, a lot of fun. I think dirt is dying a slow death. There's still people hanging on with dirt, and now it's dirt that's sealed, and there's still some clay tracks like Masters of Dirt, which I really enjoy and stuff like that. When it comes to carpet, Astro, we've seen the business model that the Europeans have, semi-permanent tracks. I think carpet is a great way for people to get into RC. It's fun. You have traction. It's clean. What's your thoughts on carpet racing and the future in America? Because it's hugely popular in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it seems like the carpet events have been gaining a lot more people. A lot more people seem to be pumped up to race carpet. And for me, I think the dirt, maybe we're seeing it dying a little bit. I feel like the slick tire stuff is very difficult. There's always, how are you prepping the tires? What foams are you using? What's the hot sauce of the week? With these carpet tires, freaking mount the things up, slap them on, go out there. You have good grip. You don't need anything else, to really make them work. You just use the stock foams, whatever comes in it, bolt them on the car after you glue them, and it's good to go. And like you said, it's a lot cleaner, easier to change the track. I think it's easier for people to find a place to rent for a track if it's carpet compared to dirt, because a lot of places don't want dirt in there. So yeah, I mean, I think it just makes it I think it's good for sure. I would like to see more dirt, but I think that the slicks thing, it's difficult, it's hard, because you could have your car perfect, but if your tires aren't 100% perfect, you're not doing anything out there. So I feel like the carpet, it's pretty straightforward. You mount up pin swag and fuzz bites. We have the wide 2-wheel front option that we've been using on the 4-wheel a lot, but I actually used them on the 2-wheel as well this past weekend. There's just a few different options for the fronts. Use the same rears all the time, bolt them on, go out there, and you're good to go. So I think that's why we see carpet gaining lots of popularity here.
Also, we got to think semi-permanent, like they do in the UK and Europe, where they just roll out AstroTurf for carpet for a night of racing. I think that's one of the things because not everybody can, let's be honest, hobby shops and tracks and renting, that all costs money. But if you can have a club that does semi-permanent tracks, maybe set up for the weekend, that's it. Carpet can be put in the middle of a mall not a mall. I know malls are dying, but an area with oh Lord have mercy, a high population of people walking through, traffic coming through, so it also gets RC in front of people's eyes. So unfortunately for those dirt guys, I do think that it's dying a very slow death, and for all the reasons that you just said. Let's talk about real quick stock and mod. I used to be the biggest stock hater ever. pink
Stock's
pinions.
good.
But I understand that it's so when I laugh, it's the same argument I have with people when they say, "Oh, that person's sponsored and he's running Sportsman or something like that," and I'm like, "Hey, sponsorship does not equate to skill." Well, guess what? Stock is not stock is a class in its own that we don't have in 8 scale, whereas there are pro stock guys now, right? There probably has been for many, many years, but stock is what keeps the 10 scale world alive. There's a lot of money involved in it. I love the competition between the motors and all that stuff and the batteries and ESCs and that competition. I don't recommend stock for somebody who's getting into RC. It's a class in its own. It's fine. Like I have no problem now with people being permanent stock racers, right? Now, if your goal is to be a pro driver to an extent, obviously mod is something that you need to go to. If you're just getting into RC, 21.5, like me.
21.5 is baller, dude.
I just want to do 21.5. Honestly, that's all I want to do. That's me. I am a part-time racer, race once or twice a year. I just want to run 21.5. What are your thoughts on people that may, and the competition of level of stock is way bigger than mod at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, stock, I mean, as you could see, I mean, the field was super deep this past weekend. And yeah, I mean, I think, there are some stock haters out there in general, not even just the drivers, like people that, oh, we should just have one, just mod, only mod or in like a beginner class or whatever that may be. And I don't think these guys understand that, like, a company like R1 or Exalt or whoever, they're selling probably 100 times more stock motors than they are mod. So the stock stuff is very good for the industry. It helps out a lot of the companies. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised to see that, certain brands haven't made a carb or like a stock specific carb. Like that comes with some of the lightweight drivetrain. I know TLR's done this in the past. But, I'm surprised that hasn't kind of become mainstream because really, I mean, everything is kind of geared more towards, those guys now. I feel like, those are the guys spending all the money. All of us mod guys are just, we're not buying the motors.
Absolutely.
And there's hardly any other guys besides us racing mod anymore. So, yeah, I think the stock thing is good. And honestly, it's awesome to watch. I mean, there's some amazing battles this past weekend. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I raced stock at the Ohio race and at the Hoosier race. I don't want to sign up for stock no more. Hell no. I'm not running that again. These guys are so fast now, dude. I don't even want to play with it. Will be difficult for even guys like me to go out there and to compete with these guys. They have their stuff so dialed in. They're driving so dialed in. Like, I'm not signing up for stock buggy again. Hell no. I don't want to.
I've become a big fan of it. Big fan of it. I don't see myself ever running 17.5. I'm going to be a 21.5. Maybe. I mean, 21.5 is just perfect speed for me. But I love it, and I love just the 10 scale races I've been to, and everybody used to say, "Well, wait till you see it or you try it," and I was like, "Nah, bullshit." Like it's blah, blah, blah. I had that same attitude, but now I've become a stock fan. I am a stock advocate now. So good stuff. Okay. Two more questions, and I'm going to let you go. As a young racer who's now working in this industry, what is it that you like about working in the RC industry and what you're able to do?
So for me, I mean, with R1 stuff, man, I've learned so much about the electronics, and honestly, I think that gives me an upper hand at some of these events, because I feel like I understand how the electronics are truly working more than even like some of the top guys. So yeah, I mean, I think, if any of you guys watch the 4-wheel drive A mains, you can see that, yes, my car is faster on the straightaway than Brock's 4-wheel, and I have more brakes into the wall ride, and I was able to gain so much time through there because of that. And I think that, my knowledge and working with Davey Bott as well, he runs the R1 stuff. So, we've been able to work together. I kind of have been running a lot of carpet. It's like, here's the settings I've been using. He went up to A main, was practicing. He came up with a few things. He's like, okay, your stuff is pretty solid, but I did this and this. I think this is better. Like he did some different stuff with the motor timing, a bit of a different, one of the different settings we have, he changed. And I went back to the track. I was like, okay, like this is better for sure. Like this is really good. And I think just having a deeper understanding of truly what's going on can give you a huge advantage. So for me, it's, I was really excited to learn more in depth about, the electronics and things like that. And I have to give, a huge thanks to Steve Villanueva, the owner of R1. He's let me in on a lot of different projects and things going on. And I've learned so much from that for me, this electronic stuff is like, the back of my hand, really. It's very easy for me to know what I need to do and how to set it up properly. And honestly, this weekend, I think that, if you watch the races and really pay attention to the throttle, like how fast the car is on the straight and the braking, I think that was a part of the success too. I mean, obviously the X-ray cars were amazing. Like I said, Max was helping me on the 4-wheel. The 2-wheel has been honestly really good since we've gotten it. So really haven't needed, a whole lot of support with that, but, having the full package is huge. And, really truly understanding what's going on, with how the settings work, etc. It's a huge advantage. And I think that's overlooked even by some of the top guys that are winning these races still. So yeah, that's my favorite part about it, is just having a deeper understanding of, how these things truly work.
Okay. So as a young racer, what are some of the things you want to see change in our industry? And how can we do that?
I mean, I think that we mentioned it with Europe versus US. I think that our races need to be, they need to be a bit more organized. I think that, controlled heats, everyone gets the same amount of track time. It's how it should be at every race. I mean, there's really, I don't even understand why it doesn't happen. It's not that hard to do. And we shouldn't have to be there on a Wednesday. I don't think that, getting to a race on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not many people can do that. I mean, obviously guys like me or Spencer Rivkid or whoever, we can do that. But I think, the race needs to be catered a bit more to the average guy as well. And I think, a bit shorter of an event, less practice, but controlled, I think is really the biggest thing that I think can make our races a bit more legit and will bring more people in, because they don't feel like they're missing out on Wednesday already while they're at work. Like they're like, oh man, these guys have 8 hours on the track compared to me. Now I don't want to come. Like, I think that's a big thing that, can keep people away from these events. And it's freaking expensive, man. I mean, you go around all the time. It is not cheap to go to a race weekend. I mean, you're spending $1,000 minimum if you're flying and getting a rental car, stuff like that. So I think if we can make the events more concise, have more controlled practice, the spec tire thing, it's kind of hard. That's a bit of a, it's good, I think, for some events, but of course the brands want to battle it out against each other, like the chassis and the electronics. But I mean, for me, I just think that, need to make the events a bit shorter, more controlled practice. Everyone's on the same playing field. And I think that would make a big difference at some of these races. I think a lot more people would come. Like, I know that a few of these INS races, there's some people I know that did not go because they feel like they need to be there so early. So
I get it. Same complaint we kind of have in 8 scale. All right. My final question. I want to thank you. It's been a great chat with you, man. I appreciate your time. I had a lot of fun. I knew it was going to be a good chat. What does the future hold for Tom Rinderknecht? Did I say it properly?
Yeah, you did good. Don't let Filbert mess with you with Connect, okay?
I like Connect.
Yeah, you can say that. I wouldn't mind if you called me that.
Where is it from?
German.
I figured.
Yep.
So what's the future hold for Tom from R1?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing. I've been here in Iowa, working with the R1 stuff, racing as much as I can. I'm just going to keep at it. We got INS in Omaha coming up here pretty soon. Another kind of local race. So, of course, I'm pretty excited about this. get back on some dirt racing, and then we have the carpet nationals and beyond. You know, we have Mugen Challenge as well after that. So yeah, there's definitely some races coming up. So it's time to start prepping. Need to run some 10 scale dirt here soon. Need to get some 8 scale going, and keep going on the carpet, because we still have lots of major carpet races left this year. So
absolutely.
Just gonna keep pushing forward and try and do the best I can.
Any advice for any of these young racers that might want to make this a career, or trying to be a pro racer at some point, or not trying to be a pro racer?
I mean, if you're really trying to, do this full time, I mean, like I think I mentioned this earlier, Mason Fuller, myself, Alex Vanderbeek, I mean, we raced 2-3 times. Maybe we would even go to the track 4 times some weeks. And we did this for many years. And you really have to put in the time, get your laps down. I know there's so many good videos online on rebuilding your cars, how to set up your cars. I like JQ has some great videos that have actually helped me out. Testmans have some great videos as well that are still posted up, that, I think are really good for just standard maintenance, how to tune things, same with JQ, of course. There's so many, good resources out there right now. So I think really just putting in the practice, getting drive time, and also making sure that, you can keep your car in good condition. You're trying to learn the setup, go to the track with a purpose, not just to go drive. Be like, okay, like when I go to the track, I'm like, okay, so today I'm going to mess with, let's say springs, right? So I'm going to try all kinds of springs and kind of see what my car is going to do. And then, obviously I want to drive and get better as a driver as well. But I feel like if you have a purpose for your practice, that can help you improve a lot quicker. And man, if you're just trying to have fun, go out there, try and, I think having the car set up and prepped properly makes everything a lot more fun. Get the work done as much as you can before the race, and go out there and just have a good time with your buddies. Race the best you can.
Absolutely, man. Well, dude, I want to thank you for your time. It was a great chat with you.
Yeah, thank you.
I know we talked about doing this for quite some time, but it was good. Congratulations on your win at INS. It was awesome. Like I said, I'll leave a link for that race for Mod in the written description with a timestamp, so you guys go check out some of the racing. Keep killing it, man. I like you. I like your personality. You're a good young man. We always seem to have a great conversation when we see each other at the track. And I wish you all the luck, man, because you guys are the future of this industry. So I want you guys to stay involved and be a part of this.
Thank you very much, Keenan. Yeah, no, thanks for what you do. You've been you help keep RC get in people's eyes, get some people some insight. Like I said, even like Ty's last interview, man, I enjoyed that a lot. That was awesome to hear about some of the different things going on. So no, you're doing great stuff for us as well. I appreciate it. It's great being on here. Hopefully I'll be on here again at some point soon.
Sure.
But yeah, thanks everybody for watching here. It was a good time. Hopefully you learned something, and yeah, thank you again, Keenan.
Awesome, man. Well, enjoy your day, enjoy your victory, and good luck at the next INS, dude. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Keenan.
Techno RC. Techno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance 8-scale, 10-scale, nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Techno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Techno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.technorc.com.
All right, Tom, thank you for your time. It was a great chat with you, dude. Good luck at the upcoming INS at Omaha at the Hobbyplex. It was a great chat. We're going to definitely have you back on her. I look forward to probably seeing you at Carpet Champs later on this year. And keep up the good work. It was an excellent race. And congratulations on your victory. All right, everybody. That kind of does it for us this week. No long podcast after giving you 4.5 hours last week. This is a little bit of a short one. Just over 2 hours. Good luck to everybody out there racing this weekend. Be safe. I hope you guys enjoy yourself. Don't forget, we have the Nationals coming up next week. We're busy here recording. We're going to I might do let me know. Should I do a live show, like a live preview show of the Nationals? I wish I was going, but I'm not. Or do we do a recorded one? We'll see. But I think it's time for a Lefty off the record. And I'm also contemplating bringing back the NNRC hotline. Let me know if you guys want to do it. I actually bought some tools. This is for Max. This is a 5-minute timer. We're going to have him on the time. I have a 3-minute one too. I'm thinking of bringing back the NNRC hotline. Maybe a company out there wants to sponsor it. Let me know. Hit me up. And I'm thinking about bringing it back. Maybe once a month we'll do some call-ins. If you guys remember, I used to do that back in the day. But it's going to be kind of quick. We're going to do like 3-minute calls at the most. Let me know what you guys want to do. I do have to pay for the software to do all of that stuff. So if you want to see the NNRC hotline back, let me know in the comments of this. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, watching this on YouTube, or wherever you are listening to this, please leave a review, leave some comments. It definitely helps the algorithm out. Don't forget to hit that like notification button on YouTube if you listen to this. If you ain't listening to this, if you're listening to this on the audio only, come over and watch some of the YouTube. Go check out some of the coverage from Mod Live Media. We got a lot of podcasts dropping over the next few weeks while I'm home before I go back traveling for RC Pro Am and Wicked Weekend next month. Still getting my fingers crossed to get the V-Day Angaro one after you take that big win at e-buggy Euros this past weekend. Fingers crossed we get the V-Day one. But yeah, let me know. Should we do the NNRC hotline or not? Or whatever. Hey, lots of racing coming up this year. Can't wait. Can't wait to be back in the USA in July for RC Pro Am and Wicked Weekend. Remember, if you guys want to buy some shirts or hats, hit me up and we'll get you sorted out. We have white shirts, running out of black shirts. So might only have white shirts left. But hit me up on Facebook or wherever and let me know if you want to order them. We can ship worldwide. You just got to pay for the shipping, unfortunately. With that said, I want to say a big thank you to the NNRC squad around the world. Thank you guys for all your continued support. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. A big shout out to the YouTube members and patrons of the podcast. Remember, if you wish to support the podcast a little extra further, links for that in the written description. Also, a big shout out to the companies that support us as sponsors. You can find all links for this in the written description of this podcast. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Corsatec USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Stacked RC, Racecraft USA, Donovan RC, and Elite RC Productions. We greatly appreciate all your support. We also have some affiliate and partner companies as well in the written description. Go check them out. Let them know you heard about them on the No Name RC podcast. And yeah, you guys have a good weekend of racing. Lefty, I'm so used to saying Lefty and Max is out. I must look to my virtual right. Yeah, that's where it would be like that. I can't remember. But Max isn't here. So, middleman Max, the usurper. Maybe he'll be back on next week. I don't know. But watch the space. We got a lot of podcasts dropping. Thank you guys for all the support. And yeah, Nitro's the glory. E-Buggy pays the bills. And Lefty is